Before I start this, I want to clarify that I'm open to there being details about this situation that I don't know, but when I contacted Sam about this, he was shifty and unwilling to answer my questions, so I don't really have a way forward except for this. A series of images have been floating around on the internet for years, particularly on 4chan, and if you're a fan of Sam Hyde, you may have already seen them. I've censored them slightly because it makes me uncomfortable even sharing them, but, you know, here they are. I wasn't able to trace their exact origin or who exactly posted them, but the first instance of them on the internet that I could find was a post from 2016. They certainly predate 2016, however. 2016 was when Sam started Hyde Wars, by which point his hair, his facial hair, and his glasses had changed from what we see in the pictures. But despite how long these photos have been around, again to the point where many MDE fans have probably seen them, nobody ever really got the facts straight on them, and so many different claims were thrown around that they were essentially disregarded. There were many other unverifiable rumors being spread about Sam as well, so that certainly didn't help things. In sum, I was unable to track down the origin of these pictures, but we do know what they depict. Sam Hyde with a girl named Marky. In one of the images, Marky appears to be topless, and in the image of her with Sam, they both appear to be topless, so we can assume this encounter was sexual in nature. From what I can tell, these pictures are from 2014, most likely taken between the months of February and May. I mention that time period in particular because Sam's appearance, again his hair, his facial hair, and his glasses, match how he looked in the old Bug Sports videos, which are from 2014, between those months. A little later down the line, he would dye his hair blonde and then change his glasses for Kickstarter TV and the early Hyde Wars episodes, and then he gradually morphed into how he looks nowadays. According to Sam's birthday, which is April 16th, 1985, and if the birth year on Marky's online voter records are to be trusted, which is 1997, he was 28 or 29 years old, while she was 16 years old. If she had already had her birthday in this first half of the year, then she would have been 17 years old maximum. Whether she was 16 or 17, this would technically be legal in his residence of Rhode Island, where the age of consent is 16. But most people don't look too fondly on that kind of age gap for obvious reasons. I mean, imagine me dating an almost 30-year-old man. I don't think anyone would be okay with that. The pictures themselves don't depict any nudity. They just barely cut off before that point. But are they cropped, and the full original images did contain nudity? I checked the resolutions of the two images, and they're not proportional to each other, which seems to suggest that they were indeed cropped. Did Sam take other pictures that did include nudity that were never posted for obvious reasons? Are we supposed to believe that he went out of his way to take pictures documenting his sexual endeavors, but he made sure that all of them were PG and none of them contain any kind of nudity? I ask this because although the age of consent in Rhode Island is 16, any pornography depicting someone under the age of 18 is still considered child pornography. So if these pictures were cropped to remove any nudity that was originally there, or if Sam took other pictures or even videos that contain nudity, that would be a criminal offense in Rhode Island. A little backstory about Marky, which I personally feel makes this situation look worse, is that when she was 16, she posted pictures of herself on 4chan. Creepy guys on there started getting obsessed with her, and they pressured her and blackmailed her into posting nudes of herself, which she did, which is child pornography. There's a couple of inferences we can make about that. One being that she was already clearly vulnerable and had already been exploited because of that. It's also reasonable to assume that because she was on 4chan, she could have been a fan of Sam Hyde, since MDE is a 4chan phenomenon. After all, her not being a fan would be even stranger and would leave me wondering how they even got connected in the first place. But if she was indeed a fan, that would make the power dynamic between them even worse. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I reached out to Sam myself about this. And I have screenshots of our discussion. You can read them if you want. I'm just gonna read the relevant portions here. So we talk about a bunch of like the other rumors about him on there, and I just ask him, yeah, I figured all that stuff was fake, and thanks for responding. It's just the Marky stuff that's throwing me for a loop, like the pic with the bloody nose. I don't know what to make of it. And he says, she's known to get nosebleeds. That's like one reason why she's popular with these freak people. That wasn't from me, swear on my life, swear on my money, lol. And then, because he's not really answering my question, because I'm asking like, okay, what is the context of these images, you know? I hone in and say, were you with her though? And if so, how old was she? And he says, okay, well, I'm not getting into this because you're a minor and I don't know you that well. I would just say all that S about her being 15 and me punching her in the face is fake. So basically, all he would tell me about Marky after I asked him 3 separate times about her is that she wasn't 15 and that he didn't punch her in the face. But that's like what he said. That's all I can say. That's all I will say. If she was 18 or older, I would expect him to like take the opportunity to clarify that. But all he says is that she wasn't 15. So that concerns me. And then he says, you won't get into it because I'm a minor. But when I messaged him, I was like this, you know, the same max age that Marky could have been. Like, okay. So basically, he doesn't refute that she's under 18. He doesn't refute that he was with her. I mean, he can't because, you know, the images prove it. He doesn't refute that he was sexually involved with her. He just stipulates, I didn't hit her and she wasn't 15. So Sam claims he didn't punch Marky, but someone had to have, you know, spread the blood around on her face, and they decided to keep it that way for the purpose of taking multiple pictures. This suggests that it had some kind of fetishistic significance to it, even if it wasn't intentionally inflicted. I mean, you know, just pair the nosebleed with the band-aid she has on her nose and the choker she's wearing. And I just gotta point out, he has the audacity to claim that people on 4chan are weird for fixating on the nosebleeds when he seemingly does the same thing. I've also tried and failed to reach out to Marky herself. The unique part of the situation is that Marky, at least that I could find, never made a public statement about this. Usually in these situations, it's the victim that comes out and says something, but really we just have these pictures that were dropped on the internet by who knows what person with no context provided. And it's really regrettable that this has to be brought up again and again and again, but, you know, hopefully something can actually come of it this time. So that basically concludes the whole Sam Hyde Marky saga, but I have a couple more things actually. I actually have a personal anecdote from much more recently that relates to this topic and that contributed to why I wanted to talk about it. Back in 2020 during lockdown, one of my longtime online friends, a girl who was 15 at the time, told me about how Sam Hyde liked one of her pictures on Instagram, but then unliked it. She messaged him about it and actually got a response, which we both thought was kind of cool because, you know, obviously I was an MDE fan in the past and, like, very clearly, you know, took inspiration from them for my videos and the stuff that I do. And that's also why this sticks out in my memory. I only put 2 and 2 together that this might have been weird when I figured out the full extent of the Marky stuff. So I contacted her about it again, and she gave me a screenshot of the conversation. I remember her showing me, and I trust her and everything, so I know that the screenshot is 100% legit, but I understand that you guys in the audience will just have to, you know, trust me on this and take my word for it. So here's a screenshot. She says, I saw you liked my Instagram post, but because I am a retard, I didn't screenshot the notification. You must have unliked it though, because now it's gone. I know I'm not going cuckoo banana nuts. I see you, Mr. Hyde. And he says, I tapped it to see if I was tagged in it and accidentally double tapped. And it looks like you are in high school, so have a nice day and enjoy the show. And she says, LMFAO, it's all good. I'm 15, been a fan for a couple years now. You've shaped my personality and sense of humor tremendously. Have a nice day, man. And he left a heart on the message. Now, this was your typical high school girl, and I know for a fact that all she posted on her Instagram account were just selfies of her. And she probably had her age in her bio, though I can't say that part for certain. However, her age was also apparent just from how she looked. And we see from what he said in the screenshot that Sam recognized that she was in high school. What reason would he have to be browsing a high school girl's Instagram account, where it's just selfies of her, nothing else? It's not a person that he knows, it's not a person that he's friends with or one of his friends is friends with, it's not a person that lives near him or anything. It's a random high school girl that has nothing to do with him. And furthermore, why would he tap on a selfie of a 15-year-old girl to see if he was tagged in it? Why would he be tagged in it? That seems to be a lie, in which case he was looking at a high school girl's selfies for what reason exactly? And then he felt the need to lie about it. And as soon as she messaged him about it, he was immediately weird about it and, you know, peaced out. She also told me that he randomly blocked her a while later, which just raises more questions. If he was checking her account for innocuous reasons, why did he lie about the reason? Why was he so uncomfortable when he was confronted about it? Why would he go out of his way to block a totally random account later on? I legitimately don't know what to make of it. To finish off, I have one more addendum about another One Team member. If you don't know, One Team is like Sam Hyde's crew. Some of you may be aware of the One Team Cancel website, which was made by a former employee of theirs. This person used to work for them, but then, decided to expose them, I guess. Most of the claims don't have any, what I would think is concrete evidence behind them, other than, this person's or that person's testimony. It's really just he said, she said, or, screenshots that may have been fabricated. So in my position, I, simply have to discard all that stuff. But there was one thing that stuck out to me because it did have concrete evidence behind it. Basically, there's this clip of Big Flame, who is a part of One Team, endorsing the rapper Roz Dilliams even after Roz was exposed for and admitted to grooming 14 and 15-year-old girls. And I'll play the clip right now.
I'll just I kind of shout some of my homies out. I guess I'll do that. Shouts out Joey, and I'll like send you handles. But Joey, Jet, Tech, CEO, Facey, B9, Shoddy, Dion, the whole One Team. Sam Hyde, this is my bro. I think most people know where to find him that are watching this. Juju, Rapolo, Slater, Roz, Satch, James Wallace. I'm just listing off people that I fuck with on a pretty regular basis.
I have a couple imgers on hand, like collecting the screenshots of him talking to these young girls, saying, obscene stuff. Here's a picture of a girl in pigtails. She says, "I'm wearing them to school tomorrow," and he says, "handles for a toy." He gets a picture of the girl in braces. He asks her, "Marry me." He asks her, "Let me sacrifice you." He says, "Are you an adult yet?" She says, "Just 2 years." He says, "Are you gonna be my house pet in 2 years?" She says, "Yes, sir." He says, "Tell me what you think my house pet does." She says, "Listen to whatever you tell me to do." So this guy's like a certified scumbag, and after this stuff came out, he admitted to it on Twitter. These long, drawn-out paragraphs trying to justify his actions and whatever. I understand that I've greatly taken advantage of the dynamic of being an artist with a platform. I have had conversations with inappropriate undertones, and that is something I must accept. I am regretful for my extremely toxic, misogynistic behavior. I've used my influence and abused my power. I'm very sorry for my actions. Yada, yada, yada. This is a whole controversy in unto itself. So basically, Roz was exposed for this in 2020, and then the clip where Big Flame endorses him is from an interview from May 2021. So according to the person who made the One Team Cancel site, Big Flame said that, "I'm going to work with Roz. I literally don't care. I don't care that he's a pedo. No one cares anymore. Everyone's moved on." But again, that part is unverifiable. But even though that's unverifiable, the part that we do know for sure already speaks for itself. Big Flame has to be aware about what Roz did because he knows him personally, and this was, a huge thing for him. It wasn't just some small blip. It was a huge expose against him to the point where he himself admitted it on his Twitter, which, Big Flame is mutuals with, so he would have seen that. So Big Flame has to know about it, but for some reason, he just doesn't care. So back to Sam, and to close this thing off, there's something of a question of whether this is a pattern of behavior for him, as it often can be for people like this, and he's like a pedophile and he's fixated on young girls, or if this was like a one-off thing or more of a byproduct of some kind of generally loose morals and general sexual deviancy. I just don't know. I can't say which way it is, but that's about it from me. And hopefully the next time I post can be under better circumstances.
If they have big milky tits, if they're already blowing in middle school, they're already giving head, they're fucking, then how is that pedophilia? Is that a child? If she's like grabbing your cock and riding you and doing this voluntarily, it's not because you're making her do it. Is that still a child that you're fucking, or is that a fucking straight up hoe? I don't know. I'm an alien.
it's LD Corbus here, so I'm bringing back the middle part because I want to pretend that I'm still 11 years old, and I'm also bringing back the long nails because I want to wipe without toilet paper. I'm thinking this finger. Today we're going to be discussing lids of TikTok. As a person who attended high school for an impressive 1 year, I'm well versed in all the deviance that happens in, sex ed. Hey, my name's Sex Ed. Particularly because I went to a California public school, and there it's basically, they just, put you on Pornhub and set you loose. They put you, like, on the gay section of Pornhub specifically. So when I saw lids of TikTok showing these videos of groomer teachers, I finally felt like my personal experience was being validated. And I thought it was a given that everyone would agree that it's a good thing that these people are being exposed. Instead, every mainstream news outlet under the sun is, like, scrambling to write it off and say, oh, these teachers were just fired for being gay. They just happen to also be pedophiles. The reason they got fired is because they're gay. Yes, we found child porn on their hard drive, but we know for a fact that that's not why they were fired. They're fired because they're black and gay, and people in Texas are just stupid and they can't handle crap like that. Although maybe I'm insane. Let's see what these, groomer teachers have to offer. They can't possibly be groomers, right?
Hey, if your parents don't love and accept you for who you are this Christmas, them. I'm your parents now. I'm proud of you. Drink some water. I love you. Bye.
Yeah, ignore the part where he said, frick what your parents think. I'm your parents now, okay? I'm gonna go behind your parents' back to do what I want with you, so you can go behind my back and do something to me. Predators never do that sort of thing. Like having like a secret relationship with an adult that isn't your parents behind your parents' back. That sounds like safe. I don't know what these teachers think, that they're gonna be the safe haven for gay kids. So the gay kids are gonna come to them and be like, oh, Mr. Pedophile, I've known to tell you about this, I'm gay. Who tells like their freaking math teacher about them being gay? What the hell? They have friends for that. Well, what are they gonna do if their parents don't approve of them being gay? I don't know. Wait until you're 18. Isn't that the age of consent anyways? And then people claim that I'm freaking naive. Of course they need to bang before that and learn how to bang before they're 18. Of course they're gonna be banging before they're 18. What are you, like some naive conservative Mormon person? Okay, I get why you legally can't punish people who are both minors for like having sex with each other, but I don't think it should be endorsed just because of that. Just because it's technically legal, it should be endorsed.
Well, technically they can, but I already have a video about that I'll put in the description.
Endorsed and promoted. Like, can you make 2 4-year-olds bang each other? Like, where's the limit on that? 13-year-olds having gay sex with each other? Is that normal? Is that something that should be endorsed? I don't know. I don't think so.
If my parents had their way, I wouldn't know about the gay community or my own legitimate sexual identity. I came out to them when I was 16. You want to know what they told me? They told me I was going to unalive myself because of this.
I mean, statistically, they're correct. Sorry, I'm on YouTube. I can't say things like this.
If it weren't for public school, I wouldn't know about the gay community. Unless it's a private school, parents need to stay the fuck out of classroom.
You can always trust teachers to make the best decision. Their stranger teacher who knows nothing about, like, what level of development they're on is gonna make the right decision on, what age to teach them certain things. Yeah, that makes sense. Not the parent who has their best interest at heart. Frick that. Just teach them all about gay sex at 3 years old. Otherwise, you're basically committing child abuse. Can I ask my teacher about fart porn in sex ed? They don't just teach you the essentials at this point. They, like, expanded from, like, hey, they're gonna teach you how to have sex and masturbate and do oral and do anal. Like, anal is already, like, fetish category. Why not exclude the other fetishes? Why can't I, like, hold my teacher in my classroom hostage by asking about fart porn and golden showers during class? I need to explore my sexuality. It's child abuse if you don't let kids explore their sexuality. And I'm just feeling like fart porn today. Ask your teacher and see if CBT is right for you.
Kids as young as 3 and 4 are actually aware of their gender identity, even if they don't have the language for it. So very aware of who they like and who they don't like. Heterosexuality is pushed on my kids on a daily basis at a very young age. Yeah, what's the first Disney movie that you saw?
Okay, I got like a few things here. Okay, so kids from 3 years old already know about gender identity even if they don't have the words to express it. They already know about, like, the gay sex, and they want it, even if they don't have the language to express that or consent. Yeah, the implication of that is, like, who they like sexually. 3-year-olds are very aware of who they are sexually attracted to. Oh, I'm coming over there with a right now. If you think 3-year-olds need to explore their gender identity, you need to explore solitary confinement. We're gonna see this friend, they're like, yeah, but we teach kids about being heterosexual. We give them heterosexual media. So isn't that a double standard? Show me a heterosexual equivalent of the books like Genderqueer and Lawn Boy and whatever that have literal, like, pornographic erotica in them for children. Show me the heterosexual equivalent of that like, isn't also banned. Show me the heterosexual equivalent of that and I will kill myself. Because Disney movies don't have freaking kids sucking other kids' glizzies.
And even this idea that, like, we can't talk about sex with kids. It's like, first of all, we probably can. Our society is just, like, way too uptight about it. We give them toy guns, but we can't explain what sex is. Okay.
Literally, they just show their cards. They just tell me that they're a pedophile and come out and say it. Because freaking pedophiles can't stop talking about the fact that they're pedophiles all the time. We could probably be talking to kids about sex, but, like, our society's so uptight about it, you know what I'm saying? It's insane that they say these, like, crazy things in this tone of voice. You're not in the Discord server anymore, bro. Feel the room, like... You're not talking to your gay bros who are also pedophiles. So this guy's basically spelling out their whole strategy. Rather than focusing on, like, the threat of pedophilia, focus on homophobia. This is why you see so much more with the LGBT stuff. You're just doing it because you're a bigot and you're homophobic. And at the same time, you're forced to subsidize them reading gay erotica in the library. Let's go look at these books, in case you don't believe me. A kid sucking another kid's strap-on glizzy because the kid is a tranny, and here it's censored. In the book, it's not. And there's another section with them, like, sexing each other. But I see nothing objectionable about, even preschoolers reading this, because when you're in preschool, pretty soon you're gonna be buying strap-ons, and you need to learn how they work. Another banned book describes a sexual encounter between 2 4th graders. Again, in a sort of erotica style. I don't want to read these things, but I'll put them on screen, and if that's not porn, then 50 Shades of Grey isn't porn. But all these authors, for some reason, love, like, describing it in detail. If you wrote that, go to jail! What are you doing?
Shouldn't you be in jail? Oh, your kid, shouldn't you be in school? Shouldn't you be in freaking death row right now? And it's hard to actually get your hands on these excerpts because when people write articles about it or whatever, they don't include them. They just say, some people allege that this book had sexually explicit material. They thought that it was pornographic. The banning of George M. Johnson's All Boys Aren't Blue speaks to a tiring history of black censorship. Yeah, it's because he's black. And ultimately, stripping students of access to books that speak to real-world circumstances that reflect their experiences, especially black and LGBTQ experiences, can be damaging. Literally, this is how they're gonna frame it.
And this reminds me of my re-upload. What was it called? Anti-racism is racism? Which, honestly, I forgot to say a lot of things in that video, but you notice how, like, specifically the white supremacists on the left have pretty much made being quote-unquote black the same as being, like, in the alphabet community, because that's something that they've been trying to push on melanated people, especially for forever. And you also notice that they put the color black and brown on the pride flag. But, I mean, of course they still don't like melanated people, but it's all just games.
It's child abuse to not give kids access to erotica, and also they argue access to porn. It's real. It happens in real life. And none of these articles ever mention, like, oh yeah, like the author never makes a concession in any of these interviews or whatever, like, oh yeah, that part's inappropriate, I can see why people don't want that, maybe we could, like, take that part out of the book and then republish it, or, like, give the school a different version. Nothing like that. They're just like, you're, like, silencing me, I can't believe that, because it's essential to the narrative. Don't make me tap the sign. They just wanted little kids. The bill is mainly to forbid teaching about gender identity between kindergarten and 3rd grade, which, even if you're a crazy gay person, I think is pretty reasonable, unless you're expecting freaking 3rd graders to be transitioning, at which point, skip the puberty blockers, just give them the surgery, because, like the other teacher said, they already know, even if they don't have the language, they already know who they are. I remember what they said about the McMartin preschool case, which we're going to talk about again later in this video, is that the kids only said those things were happening to them, like the satanic sexual abuse. Kids only said they were being abused because...
Oh yeah, I've mentioned this before. I think even on the evidence channels, the 4-year-olds were bleeding from the rectum and being trafficked, which, to add something else in, daycares and schools are tied into SRA, and like I always say and have been saying, the American school system is a part of the Cash for Kids system, and it's one of the branches that everybody has to go into. But these daycares are there for SRA. So yeah, anyways.
Parents ask suggestive questions. Why doesn't the same go that they might, give an answer that they think is going to please the teacher, even if it's not exactly true or honest? You ask, well, are you sure you're a boy? They might go, I don't know, maybe not.
And the research says that there is no age too young to talk about pretty much anything. If they know about it, they're ready to learn about it, right? So there is no, what we think is always age appropriate.
Nice, there's no age too young. Listen, they just have phones. There's nothing we can do to prevent it. It's going to happen anyways. You might as well start at 5 years old, okay? They're going to learn about it. We're going to have to talk about it. There's no age that's too young. They understand it. The research says it. I won't say what research. Trans people have similar differences in their brain to, like, pedophiles. The stria terminalis in the hypothalamus is smaller than the average person, which is the same difference you see in pedophiles. Specifically male pedophiles. Presented without comment. The research says, I'm sorry, it's just true. Like, you can just look through the banned books list, and there's also books that are just straight and are just banned because they're...
It's really interesting because there's a trauma side and then there's a spiritual side. And I think I somewhat mentioned this in the video. I don't even know what I titled it. I put it in the description, but it's like, what is it? The spiritual side, the sexual abuse, something like that.
Again, like, have too many curse words and are too sexually explicit. What a shocker. I thought people were cool with anything that's straight. Similarly, a bill introduced and tabled in the Virginia Capitol in January would require written parental consent before a student is permitted to check out from the library any such printed or audiovisual materials that could be considered grooming video or materials. Yeah, that's smart. Like, the parent is gonna know. I guess their claim is necessarily that kids need to get their fudge packed at 16. Like, what? Do my parents have to be okay? Like, if I'm into fart porn, they have to endorse that and, like, subsidize it and buy me fart porn DVD? Sophie Bjork-James, an assistant professor at Vanderbilt University who studies evangelical politics and the white nationalist movement, which you are necessarily a part of if you don't want your child to be exposed to this. You are a white nationalist, by the way. So the religious right has advanced similar lines of argument in the past. In the 1980s, for instance, when women were entering the workforce in large numbers...
Also, something else I have to add in. The idea that Caucasian Europeans created the Bible or any religion, that alone is white supremacy, because Caucasian Europeans have never created a religion. They have flipped around and people looked and changed the names. But the only one that they really made was atheism. And that was kind of like out of anger by the Greco-Romans.
And placing their children in daycare centers, which really did wonders for their happiness levels. Jamie, pull up the graph of, like, women's happiness over time. He said, some Christian conservatives drove what became known as the satanic panic, the false alarm that daycares were sites of satanic ritual and sexual abuse. Okay, now, I want all of you to turn your textbooks to page 49 of the Finder's document. And in the Finder's document, you will find a map of the tunnels under the McMartin preschool, which supposedly didn't exist, but there's a whole map of them. And it describes...
Also, there's tunnels all under the U.S., or really the entire world. There's also the inner earth, but that goes into, like, the hybrid creatures that live under there, and it's all connected, but it's somewhat older than, like, all the tunnels under America, but...
The animal bones they found in there, the pentagrams, and that the entrances were all exactly where the children had described them being. But yes, satanic panic wasn't real, never happened, no abuse. Child sex trafficking, what? Who's she? I don't know her. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? A Gallup poll released in February found that a record number of U.S. adults, 7.1%,
And mind you, this video was originally made in, like, what was that, 2021, 2022?
As LGBTQ, with 21% of Generation Z, those born between 1997 and 2003, reporting that they are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, or something other than heterosexual. But of course, you can't make people gay. The rates are only rising because more people are comfortable with admitting it. Don't look at the fact that it's totally not evenly distributed. It's mostly women who are bi and men who are gay or trans. Don't question that, why that might be psychologically. This is about the...
I wonder about that too. Like, well, nah, I can't even say, because it's like, a lot of dudes are on the down low.
chilling message these attacks send to LGBTQ young people who deserve our compassion and protection. They deserve your compassion and protection. Don't sexually traumatize them. We're seeing the manifestations of this in modern society. People who fluctuate between being like terrified of sex and being like hypersexual to the point where it detriments their life. Yeah, I said it. There was such thing as being too permissive.
Well, actually, that's kind of funny because I feel like now I'm in like my sex aversion phase because like since running away, it's been easier to work on different issues I had that were really just coping mechanisms, and it's like now I feel like I'm in like I don't know sex aversion, but I also feel like it's because of situations I witnessed with like other people, and it's like I don't know.
Promiscuous. You can be too sexy. You can be way too sexy. It's not even about stigma. People themselves feel bad if they're too sexy. No amount of media saying it's okay, no amount of banning slut shaming is going to make them feel better about it. Hot take from the Washington Post basically complaining that teachers have to show parents what they're teaching their kids in school. Oh my gosh, the humanity. How could you? You're the one mandating me by law to pay you taxes. And whether I send my kids to public school or not, I still have to pay the taxes. And you're complaining to me that I'm asking, hey, what are you teaching my kid in this place that they're being forced to go to and I'm paying for? What are you teaching them? What's in your pocket? No, I just saw something in your pocket. What are you teaching them? There's this freaking fantasy that you can do this sort of thing neutrally, and you're just giving them the information. Anything that you tell them beyond abstinence is a moral judgment, and you're condoning it, and you're normalizing it, and you're saying that it's okay. And they do tell kids like masturbation is okay. Like, what if I'm Catholic? What if I don't think it's okay? What if I'm Muslim? Matter of fact, what if I'm Muslim or Jewish, and my religion says it's not okay? Do I have a choice? Like, there is no neutral moral arbiter. There is no such thing. People will say, well, they're going to learn about it from their peers and their phones and whatever. But in that case, it's just like, oh, my weird classmate or whoever does goatee. It's not like an authority figure is telling me that goatee is awesome. You should try tub girling at least once, because what if you like tub girling and you just don't find out? Like, it's your sexual. I guess it's become like your sexual proclivities and the potential of all the things that you could possibly be attracted to are not just fetishes. They're like a part of your identity. So there's like an obligation to explore them. But it also sort of legitimizes pedophilia as a sexuality. Which if you don't think that's coming, you're not going to make it. Like, why do you think we keep having these media like cuties and things like that, like running up against that wall every few months? There's some weird movie that comes out that has like 10-year-olds twerking because they're trying to normalize it. And the official narrative around cuties is that the movie itself was normal, even though it's literally freaking child porn. The movie itself, the French movie, was very tasteful child porn. It's just the filthy American swine marketing that sexualized the kids. The filthy gaijin just sexualized the kids. They're not twerking in the movie. You can't go read the parents guide on IMDb and find out, oh, there actually is near nudity every like 5 minutes. Because the French are awesome. I just think back to how all the French postmodern philosophers signed a petition to get rid of the age of consent in France in 1977. I like thinking back on that one a lot. Kind of.
There was a video where Pastor Stephen Darby talked about something similar to that, and how like actually mentioned it recently. In Europe, you can get SSDI for being a pedo, and something revolving around parents in Germany being told that it's good to have quote-unquote relations with their kids. But, he mysteriously passed away, so.
Kind of a useful nugget of information. Just what kind of person likes the idea of kids being hypersexualeed? I suppose I'll leave you with that philosophical question. Parents don't typically like that sort of thing. Kids are not really interested in that unless you're teaching them about it. There's no, like, fart porn neuron where they naturally get, go through puberty and things, but they don't naturally seek out goatee, not unless you condition them to, because they like talking about social constructs and how Disney movies condition kids. Okay, what about porn? And who likes the idea of kids?
Well, the thing is, they like Disney anyway, because the whole point of Disney was to get kids interested in the occult. And actually, well, now this will be too long.
It's being conditioned to be hypersexual. Anyhow, the takeaway is that I'm going to imminently get banned off YouTube, which is the last time I got banned off YouTube was for a similar thing, similar gay bigotry, because, I do have internalized homophobia from being a lesbian, resenting it. And if you have a problem with any of this too, you're probably a lesbian also. Let's have a big lesbian sleepover party.
That's the funny thing, though. The same students that made fun of her and called her gay or whatever are the same ones that did a walkout to get her kicked out of school at 11 or 14 or whatever, because she was quote-unquote anti-different things that I don't think I can say, but I probably have already said. But, of course, that's how the political games work, really, with the left and the right. It's just a lot of mind games. Yeah.